Hello. Today's episode number 106 of the Professor Slots podcast discusses holiday strategy patterns, a popular payout return myth, and more. Plus, in this episode, I'll be covering the current state of slot machine casino gambling in the great U.S. territory of the U.S. Virgin Islands. Thank you for joining me for the Professor Slots podcast show. I'm John Friedel, and this is the podcast about slot machine casino gambling. It is where I provide knowledge, insights, and tools for helping you improve your slot machine gambling performance. In case you missed it, on my last episode, I went over special events advantages from my weekly live Q&A session on YouTube. Further, I reviewed Texas slot machine casino gambling in 2020. I hope you enjoyed listening to my last episode as much as I enjoyed making it for you. Remember to visit ProfessorSlots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. Here's the audio recording of my latest live stream Q&A session. Hello, slots enthusiasts. How are you? It's great to hang out with you again for another Professor Slots podcast episode and live stream. Today, we're going to be diving into my 5th winning slots strategy, and as well as common myths of payout returns and more. That's coming up. Hi, my name is John Friedel. Hang on. There's my mouse. Hi, my name is John Friedel. Welcome to Professor Slots, a channel that's all about mastering casino slots so you can win your way to success. If anyone has any plans for, not plans, if someone on the live stream could possibly let me know if the sound is good. I'm a worrier. That's what I do. I worry. So thanks for joining us today, whether you are listening on the podcast, watching this video later, or here with us live on Saturdays at noon Eastern Time. I'm glad you're all here. If you're with us during the live stream, make sure to say hello in the live chat. Let us know. You have to be logged in to do that, and I know several people are not. But let us know where you play slots, and as always, be sure to ask your slots-related questions. I want to give a special shout-out today to my dad and his wife, John and Barb. Hello from your son. They're probably running to get something to drink and miss that. But in any case, I hear they're on today. So subscribe to my Professor Slots channel on YouTube to become a part of our rapidly growing community of slots enthusiasts. And I do mean rapidly. The numbers lately have been great. So I spend a little time before the show, as usual, to chat with some people and in the live chat. And so while we do have a couple of topics to talk about today, first I want to take a moment to remember those people affected by the storms, including Hurricane Laura, that impacted the Gulf Coast, including our fellow Louisiana slots enthusiasts. Let's all hope they're safe. A regular, very regular individual on our live chat, Jan, Texas Tootsie, sent me an email this morning. She's fine. The hurricane took a turn at the last moment east and missed her on the Texas coast. So let's see if I get any sound checks coming in from the live stream. All's good. Excellent. Thank you, Dave and Lois. Okay, so the other day I saw a news report that the roof had been torn off the Golden Nugget in Lake Charles, Louisiana. It was pretty amazing and scary stuff. The debris from the roof was just falling on close to the reporters. Here's a link to the video. I'll also put it in the description later in the podcast show notes. So let me just drop that into the live stream for now, and I'll make sure the listeners and watchers later have access to that. Anyway, just pieces flying off. I'm not sure if it was the casino or the hotel of the casino next to it. If any of you have been there before and can tell the difference, big sheets coming down. In any case, our first topic today, Jan is here. Excellent. So I'll quickly, since I'll be a moment coming back to the live stream, Davian is here. Wanted to welcome him. He plays in Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, and Louisiana. And Henry is here. Hi, Henry. Jan is with us. Russ is in Alabama, but he plays in Alabama and Mississippi. And Jan, who is in Texas but plays in Louisiana, says yes. The link I sent, it was the hotel, branded hotel attached to the casino, owned by the casino, Golden Nugget. The hotel, the casino itself is kind of like a low structure, and the hotel is a high rise. So Perpetual Ribbons asks a question, I guess getting it started. So yeah, and Shannon's here. Hi, Shannon. It depends on what you're trying to do. So take a look at my website, Perpetual Ribbons, ProfessorSlots.com, and think about what your goals are. I suspect you may be talking about money, but people go there to win a lot of fun or to win comps, and fewer people to win money. But if you want to win money, then the best time, as we're talking about with this strategy and last week's strategy and the two most recent slots winning strategies, just to throw a tip out there, around as early as maybe 3:30 in the morning, but not really past 7 a.m. I'm not saying play from 3:30 in the morning to 7 a.m., but it's best to do that. That's a good time. It's a short answer. A longer answer is you want to make sure it's after a busy night. So this gets into it. Anyway, feel free to take a look at some of my prior work, and you'll get hour-long explanations for all of that. So our first topic today is my slots winning strategy number 5, reliable holiday patterns, which I released on my YouTube channel a few days ago as part of my ongoing Thursday series of winning slots strategies videos. Still have several more to go. And I'm being distracted by the live chat, but I see Shannon has a question. I have a question about the money put into the machine. Does the denomination of the bill make a difference? Absolutely not. No, I can't imagine a technical reason why it could be done, would be done, and why the casino would possibly care. Okay, so whenever I look at some of these, and the last thing I want to say on this video, just to jump ahead an hour, is if you have something you want me to check as a myth, tell me. Shannon, are you? You're like an hour ahead. I think we can answer that one. So our first topic today is on my winning strategy number 5. And it's on the winning advantages of holidays, which is much like my winning strategy number 4, which I discussed last week on casino special events. But there's some important differences. As I discussed on last week's live stream, casino special events draw a large crowd because that's what the casino has deliberately set out to do. These events are promotions. And like I said, then visiting the casino the next morning after the large crowd has gone home is a great time to pick up a significant jackpot or two. But as I mentioned at the very end of the show last week, casinos haven't been having significant promotions during the pandemic. Yes, there are some, like the Tiffany necklace giveaway at the Borgata this morning in Atlantic City. Good luck, Stephanie. This morning, Stephanie let our New Jersey slots enthusiast community on Facebook know about the giveaway after she joined this morning and joined that group this morning. And, we all wish her luck at that. So she didn't give me much details. I don't know if it's, invitation only, or it does sound like it might be an invitation only sort of thing. It's Tiffany's, right? So, hi, Steve from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Shannon, it's all good, Shannon. This could be when I've been in a lecture hall with, 150 students, or even when there's only been like 30 students, which, is many, 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 many times, I've been asked questions. I'm not one of those people that say, wait to the end before you ask questions. It's like, am I in the right room? Maybe I can ask that now. In any case, fun times, good memories. Holidays are special events, but they're more like special events. For one thing, they're not scheduled by the casino. Well, not exactly. Sometimes, like the almost holiday, Valentine's Day, they may or may not have some sort of Valentine's Day themed promotion. When I was in Kentucky in January and I went over to Derby City and Red Mile, both of those don't exactly have slot machines. They have electronic gaming machines based on historic horse racing, which is all very interesting and not our topic today. But one that was on Valentine's Day. And early in the morning and early afternoon as well. It was kind of like an half-day trip for me. And one celebrated Valentine's Day. They had a dinner. They had promotional material out. There was, they're going to be doing this event. And the other one, no mention. So, there is the possibility that a casino won't celebrate a holiday, but I don't know if that's a wise decision. So it's something to be aware of. Holidays are special events, and it's pretty likely your casino's going to do it. I mean, can you imagine them skipping Christmas, or New Year's Eve, right? For major U.S. holidays, they pretty much have to have something. I mean, can you imagine if they were to skip New Year's Eve, the New Year's Eve party? That's a mistake. But for the first time ever this year, there are going to be fewer New Year's Eve parties due to the pandemic. My point here is that slots enthusiasts like to go to casinos on the holidays, whether there's a promotion or not. And the casino can cancel regular special events and have this summer. But they can't cancel national holidays. People will just show up anyway. And yes, maybe they can choose not to put them all in a room seated 6 inches apart, but maybe they set up a room where they're seated 6 feet apart. So for this difference between special events and special events, also known as holidays, I've divided out casino special events from holidays. How to win is the same, which I talked about for over an hour on last week's live stream, and about an hour. But then I also went over it in my very condensed, tightly packed, half the time, I took out breathing, 8-minute, about 7.5 minute video on strategy number 4. And then I did it again just to make sure, in case people missed strategy 4 video and the strategy 5 video, I went over it again just in case. And that, with everything else I talked about was maybe just over 7 minutes. Again, limited amount of breathing, not humanly possible, edited out. But links to these are in the description, in the show notes. They will be in the video description shortly after the show, and also in the podcast show notes. So while repetition is great, as has been mentioned here, I won't be going over it for a 4th time today. The last 2 months of each year brings 3 major holidays. Hang on, before I get into this section, I want to make sure we're all good on the live stream. Catherine in Portland, Oregon is here, and Dave O from Lyons, Oregon is here. It's great. We have a nationwide representation. And sorry, both in Oregon, but still, we have people in all over the country, and sometimes we're getting out into the world a little bit. We have Bill. Bill's here. He's in Massachusetts. Thank you, Bill. Excellent timing. Now I can say we're coast to coast. Big promotion tonight in MGM Springfield. They're giving away a Mercedes. I'm not sure if I should say some of the things. Lately I've been talking about winning stuff, and so they're giving away a Mercedes. Been there, done that. I don't know how that comes across. I wonder how much the cash option is. That's what I'm thinking about. Most people don't take the car. I know I didn't. Let's see. I've divided out special casino events for holidays. From holidays in this last strategy. So the last 2 months of each year brings 3 major U.S. holidays, including Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. But there's also what I call almost holidays, which are immediately before or after each, like Black Friday after Thanksgiving Day, as well as Eves for both Christmas and New Year's. Over 1 year's quick succession of holiday celebrations at my local casino, I discovered my reliable holiday pattern, winning slot strategy. It was a very intense time where I learned a lot, not unlike this last month, where this channel's grown by factor 6? Yeah. In some ways, 2.5 in others, depending on what you count, watch time or subscriptions. And same thing with my YouTube. Same thing with my podcast and my website. It's getting a lot of traffic. Mostly I've just been working on it real hard. And when you do a lot of stuff, you get better faster, which is another point I might bring up later. If you go back, somebody went back and watched one of my live streams from early January and you just kind of ramble. I'm like, well, I got better. Okay. Enough rambling. Certainly holidays and almost holidays are hectic days at casinos due to their holiday status. Toward the end of their holiday status, toward the end of each year, casinos usually see large attendance on each of those 6 days. So it's 3 holidays, but with their eves or the, Black Friday, I didn't even count Cyber Monday. That's 6 days over 45 days, depending on when Thanksgiving lands. And I think Thanksgiving is late for the next 10 years, late in the month for the next 10 years. I looked it up once. So those 6 days are planned well in advance by the casino's marketing staff, the possible exception, of course, being 2020. I learned of reliable holiday patterns from these 6 days spread across less than a month and a half a couple of years ago, but then I applied these patterns to the other holidays of the year. Don't forget other almost holidays. It's just the expression I use, like May's Derby Day, which is celebrated at casinos nationwide. The first time I was at a casino on Derby Day nearly 20 years ago, when I was first learning about slot machine gambling, when I was first figuring it out, back before they had central servers and everything was individually controlled on each slot machine, I had the most amazing experience. But again, another topic. I remember arriving early at Prairie Meadows Racetrack and Casino in Altoona, in Iowa, near Des Moines, just a little bit east of Des Moines, not by much. And as morning became late afternoon, I began noticing how incredibly busy it was becoming. Plus, what was up with all the fabulous hats? Great hats are a Derby Day tradition, if you didn't already know. Do you have a fabulous hat? In my video on this strategy, I'll show you mine. In fact, next week, the Derby Day has been rescheduled for this year from May to 1 week from today, Saturday, September 5th. And why don't you give me your opinion if I should wear this during the show? For those of you on the podcast, I am wearing a cowboy hat, a wild and extensive kind of cowboy hat. And it's a fascinating story about this. Most of you have been to Las Vegas. Most of you has been to Caesars. You've been to the Caesars Forum shops. Yes, there's a little shop there called Kimosabi. And just before my trip to Las Vegas, one of those 7-star promotional things where I stayed 3 days. And the first time, not the second time, when I took my sister the second time, but the first time I won, $14,000 in 25 minutes on high limit machines like 3 days before. And I was like, well, I guess I'll take this to Las Vegas and try to learn something. Unfortunately, I didn't decide to make money. I decided to spend money and see what I could learn, which is my personal gambling goal, is to learn for you guys. And I did learn, but, and I'll tell you about that some other time, but I went to Kimosabi and I bought that hat. It is a very expensive hat. Yeah. And I won't disgust you by how much it is. Or was, but it is made out of beaver, and it's a size 8. I don't know if you know hats. Size 8s are hard to find. It's the only one that size that they had there. And anyway, I just love that hat. But what do you think? Should I wear it next week? Well, wait a minute. Michael says not Halloween. But Shannon says I would always vote yes on the hat. Looks like we kind of tied. Hey, Paula says she's never been a fan of that color, but I'm telling you, it was the only one in my size, and I haven't found a hat my size in like my whole life till then. Anyway, am I turning red? I think I'm turning red. So when I look back, to get back to return statistics, when I look back through my financial gambling records, I've won a single taxable jackpot on a major holiday or its associated eve or after day. On the morning of one Thanksgiving Day, I won 2 taxable jackpots playing slots for $2,500 and $2,400 at 3:35 a.m. and 4 a.m. So 25 minutes apart. They paid out a hand pay, did the paperwork. That might have taken, usually it takes 12 minutes, call it 15. So out of that 35 minutes between those two, 15 was spent, so I only played for 20 minutes, and I got there about 10 minutes before 4 o'clock. So I played for half an hour, call it half an hour, and got those 2 jackpots, which they're somewhat small when you're playing high limit slots, but I still like them. No way was I going to throw them back in the hopes of getting something bigger. At the time, my gambling records were not as complete as they would eventually become. Then I wasn't making a note of special events the day before, although I did note holidays. With my more recent gambling records, I do both and more. Keeping good gambling records isn't just about preparing to file your annual income tax returns. By adding notes, it's also excellent for analyzing just such gambling performances at your favorite casinos. For example, did you go to the casino last year on New Year's Eve? Think about it. Did you? How did you do? And based on your gambling records, what should you do this next New Year's Eve? Yeah, with the 2020 thing, it kind of throws, everything's different this year. But if you don't yet keep gambling records, maybe you should for the upcoming holiday season, at least for every other year. It's never too late to start. We'll talk about how you can most easily do that yourself some other time soon. Yet, even with the records I kept then, it is an excellent time to attend a casino between these significant holidays. I won my largest taxable jackpot. I'm serious about that. I won my largest taxable jackpot to date on a Saturday before Christmas Day for $27,000. It was certainly, while it wasn't exactly on the holiday, it was around the holiday. And it's worth mentioning, it's, that time between Christmas and New Year's, the weekend before, it can all kind of be like busy every night. And that's what you're looking for. Promotions or holidays or whatever the reason, you're looking for busy every night and going the next morning. Not that I want to cover what exactly is going on with the strategy a fifth time, but as was, so this jackpot was $27,000, massive. It was at 5:40 a.m. it was the second taxable jackpot I'd won in 40 minutes. As was my habit then, there's also somebody behind me who won just a few minutes before. So the floor manager, if it's over $10,000, it has to be paid up, including a floor manager. At least it wasn't my casino. I think it's a general rule. So the floor manager was walking by after handing out that taxable jackpot. So it was like within 15 minutes. Like I said, it takes about that long to do some of these. And as they were walking by, I pushed the button and up pops $27,000, and I swore. I don't tend to swear, but I have some few choice words when I'm surprised. When I'm very surprised, like say I hit a patch of ice and slide into a ditch, there's certain things that I say and it's a habit. So he stopped and kind of looked at me and I'm like, no, sorry. But as was my habit then when winning taxable jackpots, I like to get the cash. After paying the required state taxes, this $27,000 amounted to, it was state taxes and city taxes because it was in Horseshoe, Cincinnati. So that downtown you have to pay a couple percent. I think at the time was like 1.9% as well on top of the state taxes. So it came out to about 6.1%. I didn't have anything taken out in the state taxes. It was almost Christmas, and I had given to a little bit of federal well before that, just in case, right? Don't want to be short on taxes. And also, it was, I had already been doing gambling records, so I knew how all that was going to work out, at least at a high level. Did have a surprise later about city taxes, but that's another story. So many stories. But this hand pay was the first time I'd won a jackpot worth more than $5,000. All right. So it wasn't that a habit by any means. There's only been, I find that about every 30 hand pays, I will get something which I call like a medium-sized jackpot where, I don't play $100 machines. Just a waste. You got to have $80,000 to have a chance. But if you play a $1 machine, a $5 machine, $10 machine for a couple of credits, you don't need that much to have a reasonable chance. But a $27,000 jackpot on a $15 bet is, it's not the top jackpot by any means, but it's not what you usually get. It happens 1 out of 30 times according to my gambling records. Again, I'm making the point, gambling records, analysis of gambling records. You can see this stuff for yourself. So, of course, I was only playing high-limit slot machines at the time. And so 1 out of 30 was this medium level, $27,000. And that happened to be 3 times, right around the 30th hand pay each time. So around the 30th hand pay, around the 60th hand pay, around the 90th hand pay. So this hand pay was the first time I won over $5,000. I kind of went into shock. I think that's the best way to describe it. I jumped out of an airplane when I was 17 once, and that, by myself, which is what they did back when I was 17. And I kind of fell for a while, and I was kind of like drowsy and kind of like looking around a little bit. And then I kind of like woke up and that was a little bit like what it was to win the 27,000 when I never won anything more than 5,000 before. Anyway, but in the days afterwards, I traveled to see distant family over the Christmas holiday that year. So I have no gambling records for any lost winning opportunities for that time. Mostly I was trying to absorb having won 45 taxable jackpots in 42 days on 18 separate casino visits. So, yeah, it wasn't 2 per visit, but it averaged out to be a little bit more than 2 per casino visit. So that drove my need for gambling records. It also was an intense time of learning, like we've talked about with these 6 holidays or, eves all close together. It's a great time to just sort of pluck at finding a holiday winning pattern that you can use throughout the year. It's not unlike this last week and last month of just learning so much about so much more about what you guys would like me to talk about and discuss through, now being full time. Actually, I'm averaging around 80 80 hours, 82 hours a week, working on this business, everything from starting online course, not ready yet, but progress is being made, and other things, like exactly how I'm going to launch it. It's all been just an intense learning experience. I've been enjoying it tremendously. Just have to remember to get to sleep. But this intense time of holiday wins helped me find this pattern, which I can use on, sometimes we go for a long stretch without a holiday. Memorial Day, was the one before that is well before that, right? And well after that. I think we have to go all the way to June 4th or July 4th to get the next one. So there's big stretches. But now with this intense learning, you can go to any of these holidays and see what happens. Everything depends on having a big crowd the night before, though. If you don't have that, and we might not have that this year, we'll have to see. That's what's required. Anyway, I've gone over that prior videos. So on the first Saturday after Christmas that year, I won 3 taxable jackpots within 35 minutes. I got the first jackpot starting 10 minutes after I began playing at 4:45 a.m. The night before had been a busy night at the casino. I didn't win any taxable jackpots the next morning on Sunday, but then again, I didn't arrive until 7:45 a.m. after it was all over. You see, when you look back on your gambling records and you have times and dates and notes, these things start to make sense. The pandemic of 2020 has disrupted casino special events, with most canceled, but has had only a minor effect on individuals celebrating national holidays. If your casino is closed for morning cleanings, you'll need to work around that schedule during your early morning visits to implement this winning slot strategy. So this is the first part of the show. Let's check in with the live chat before I move on to the next section. I want to make sure I say hello to everybody and welcome. So let's take a look. What have I missed? Yes, we talked about the casino in Louisiana. For those of you who have joined, I get statistics on things, and I can see that we had some people join a little while ago. And I posted a video, just put a link in the live stream, live chat about the Golden Nugget Hotel in Lake Charles having its roof blown off, and just live video. So we talked about Shannon. It's okay, Shannon. David is here. Bill says there's a big promotion at MGM Springfield. They're giving away a Mercedes. Excellent. You going to go for it? What's the rules? Do you have entries? Is it everybody's equal odds, or based on how many jackpots, hand page you got, or what's the rules? See if you got a chance, see if you got more odds. I had a 257 more likely chance to more entries. I had 257, I think it was, entries to win the car on the car that I won, where most people who had walked in, had one opportunity. So Bobby is here. Bobby, Southern California, welcome. I'm a big fan of You Can Bet on That. Met the guys. They're wonderful. It's a recreational podcast for table games, mostly craps, for those of you who don't know. Great podcast. Shannon is, okay, and let's just move past the hat before I turn red again. I should have my sister on sometimes. She has a requirement that everything has to be approved as far as photos. I will see if I can get permission sometime. She's 5 hours away. She lives 5 hours away from me. Remember the last time I tried to have somebody on the show? Do you remember the cat was just walking by and I wanted to pick it up and it screamed? You never saw the cat, but you heard the social distancing effect. Steve says he had a jackpot 10 minutes before New Year's Eve last year. Great. Richard is here from North Carolina. He likes to go to Cherokee. He's going there Saturday evening. Another slots author competition. Also has a lot of jackpots during win morning Saturday hours. Yeah, if you listen for it, we've been talking about this for a couple of weeks now, because there's 2 winning strategies and what mornings after what happens. And if you listen for it, if you listen to the forums and the community groups and they talk about jackpots, and if you can find out what day it is, they're like, well, it's the morning after a holiday or morning after a special event. And it's just like, aha. So, there's more to it than that, like keeping records and being safe. And, what is your goal? Does it even promote your goal? So, that's what I'm trying to provide. Brian is here. Hi, Brian. People show up in the middle. That's fine. Oh, he has a sick dog. I hope your sick dog's okay. Jeez, come on. Davian says he'll be in Cincinnati for Memorial Day. Might be advantageous to go early on Memorial Day. The idea that so that's Monday. So early Monday morning, I just don't see it. I don't see Sunday being a big casino day, right? So you'd be there the morning after Sunday. I mean, it's possible. This is how you check. Okay, everybody, this is how you check. Special events, holidays, should you go the next morning? Go the night before. Don't bet unless you see an opportunity you can't pass up, but don't bet and just see if it's busy. I mean, drive by and see if the parking lot's full. That's what you're looking for, okay? And that's especially true in 2020, where, we have no prior sort of analysis of what's going to happen this year. Is it busy? That's Monday morning and Memorial Day will work if it's busy. Sunday evening, the day before. And if you're there, just drive by. If you're going to Cincinnati downtown, they have a parking structure, very familiar with the parking structure. It can be hard to tell if it's full. So you might have to drive through the parking structure, just go to the top and see if there's any empty spots. If it's mostly ghost town, that's something we'll tell you right there. You don't have to go any further. And again, it's not just Cincinnati. It's for anyone who wants to know, is it, is this morning after, and is this going to be a good time? And, get to know your casino. Get to know if they celebrate Valentine's Day. Get to know if they don't celebrate Valentine's Day. Derby City does. Red Mile does not. You need to understand when your casino is busy to use these last two strategies. Okay. Richard, no. Okay. So Richard says that there's a strategy called time clock, a payout during a restricted clock time programmed into the machines. Sure, I guess you could put it that way. It's not really understandable. It kind of assumes that you're a programmer or, that you even know what any of those words mean. And it's basically the same thing. The casino has set up a time. No reason to use big words here. And it's based on being busy the night before. So it's not set up unless it is busy the night before. There. I just feel that's an easier way to express all this. So let's keep going. That was excellent. Thank you. Visit ProfessorSlots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top tier slot machine casino gambler. In the second part of the show, let's switch our attention to return payouts. A while ago, I wrote an article. Would have been March 2018 when I first wrote it, but I've updated it a little bit since then and plan to do more. But a while ago, I wrote an article for my ProfessorSlots.com website called Top Financial Benefits of Slot Machine Payout Returns. As you may know, I've only recently started creating YouTube videos about most of my website posts. I started my website well before almost anything. Well, I wrote the book first, and then I started the website, and then I did the podcast for a year. And then, and now I'm doing this year, basically since November, kind of paid attention to YouTube. I was just using it as a place for storage before that. So, I'm, I won't say behind on YouTube videos, but you'll find a lot more website posts than YouTube videos. And I'm hoping to catch up in the next 6 months or so. If I do as many as I can per week, but they have to be, anyway, I have frustrations. I'm turning posts into videos because you want it to be good. And it takes me, 4 days to do a good video. So the videos I'm doing include my Thursday series. It's always going to be a series on Thursdays if I can manage it. But the current series, and it's a series of 7 videos, and I'm on the 5th one, finished the 5th one, working on the 6th, is on my winning slot strategies. But on other days of the week, I'm working on other YouTube videos. As a podcast listener, this article, Top Financial Benefits of Slot Machine Payout Returns, you might have heard this if you've been a long-time listener. It's back in podcast episode number 24, Leveraging Payout Returns. During this last week, I've been working on one of my next YouTube videos, more than one, but this one is based on that payout return post. I hope to have it done in a few more days. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the reminder button to hear about it once it's published. I definitely wanted to share this topic with you, but when should I? Next weekend's live stream is another winning slot strategy plus Derby Day. So that's already a full schedule. But with the reliable holiday pattern I've already discussed today being a somewhat short topic because it's part of the already described winning strategy number 4, special events, it seemed like this would be a perfect time, even if the video isn't quite finished. And finally, so that was all in my mind. And then finally, there's the American Casino Guide. I love and respect their work, but some of it is becoming just a little bit dated. Yesterday, they posted again the old myth I hear everywhere, that higher slot machine denominations have better payout returns. So 2.5 years ago, I wrote my rebuttal in a post, in the post we're talking about, in a subsection called Myths of Payout Returns. I feel raising this topic now is a good call because already this morning, I've been discussing it with ACG within their Facebook group post. Apparently, they're looking at their own past data to support their post while I'm looking at state-provided return statistics. Hopefully we'll work this out, but I doubt it. Due to rapid changes in slots technology and quickly evolving casino business practices, even venerable institutions like the American Casino Guide have, in specific areas, fallen behind. AGC is great. I recommend them as part of my top 7 online resources, which you heard me talk about before, professorslots.com/subscribe. That's what you get. You get 7 of them, and one of them is ACG. And it's a link to their, a lot of their stuff is online. It's online resources. But all that hard work that they've been doing was mostly before 2012. I don't know. Do you know American Casino Guide? Steve Borey put it together. His son, I think it's Matthew, is kind of taking it over as Steve is getting a little bit older. They've kind of made it a family business. And, what was once true, maybe it was once true, that higher payout returns were always the high limit machines. But a decade ago, that was, I'm going to say it was probably true. Without even looking at the data, I'm going to say it's probably true because I respect American Casino Guide. They were the authority then. I think I would expect they got it right. But is that true anymore? Not with slots. And it's starting to show. Change is hard for most companies. Anyway, I'll update you on my next live stream how the debate goes, or should I say rages on in any case. And since I had this update, something else happened just before I went live, which was American Casino Guide, whoever runs their social media, their Facebook group, came back and said, but all I meant by something along the lines of people should pay higher returns is that a quarter machine is always better than a penny machine. I'm like, that's not what you said. Anyway, I let it go. In any case, let's get back to talking about payout returns. Lots of slots enthusiasts use the term loose and tight. These popular terms are entirely about slot machine payout returns. Loose means the machine has higher payout returns, while tight slot machines have lower payout returns. Basically, loose means you win more, and tight means you pay more. Theoretical payout and payout returns is actually two different things. Okay, I put them together, payout returns, because we're talking about the situation. But then the way I define these things, and it gets a little loose, and that's why we have to be careful with our wording. So I'm calling one thing payout and another thing return. Okay, you may not do that. Different states are different, but payouts are one thing, returns are another. So payouts, I say, are theoretical payouts. The words I will use, the definition of the words I use. Theoretical payout is an electronic setting for the slot machine. To understand where it comes from, see the description below for in the video below, and also in the show notes for a link to my previous video on this topic. It's my most popular video and most popular post. But then there's returns, right? And these are statistics. And there's an accounting term that's called actual, all right? What actually happened. So I'll call this second term actual return. Sometimes I'll just say return statistics, but actual returns are an accounting record kept of how the machine performed over time. Okay, so now we have these two different definitions. Theoretical payouts and actual returns are in percentages, and they're either win percent or hold percent. Two more terms. Payouts are always a player win percent. So it's always win. It's always how much does the player win? If they spend $100, how much of that $100 do they get back according to the theoretical payout setting on a slot machine? And that's it. Hold percent isn't used, win percent is used for that. But return statistics can be either win percent or hold percent. So these state published return statistics, they could be one or the other. And it gets a little bit kind of, I don't say confusing, but you have to understand that who's winning and who's holding. All right. From our point of view, the player perspective, we win and the casino holds our money. But from the casino's point of view, they win, and unfortunately, you get to hold on to some of your money. So which one's win percent, which one's hold percent? And you have to sort of look at each state. And, if they could all be the same, that would be great. But it's state law, and we've talked in the past about how that doesn't happen, right? There's only three terms, class 1, class 2, class 3, three words that are used nationwide because it's a federal law. Everything else, it just depends on what the state wants to call it. Okay, so win percent is the amount won divided by the total amount played. The amount lost divided by the total amount played is hold percent. And you can subtract each one from 100% to get the other, right? So subtract win percent from 100% and you get hold percent, and vice versa. So where it gets confusing is who's doing the winning and who's doing the losing. From our point of view as a player, we're the winner. While the casino holds onto our money. From the casino point of view, it's switched. So I just keep in mind that if you're one of the few slots enthusiasts whose state publishes returns, those statistics might be in hold percent. They might be in win percent, and it's pretty obvious which one. So just keep that in mind. So slot machine manufacturers design the electronics of slot machines to have a range of theoretical payout percentages from which the casino operators they sell them to can down select one of these settings as needed. Slot machine manufacturers and casino operators do not make the win or hold percent of specific machines, specific slot machines available to the public, naturally enough. I mean, at best, a few states will say, I think it's 5 or 6, will give you the actual returns for all of their dime slot machines, quarter slot machines, quarter progressive slot machines, but not individual quarter progressive slot machines. So you don't know, you just know what on the average what they are, and they could have like 400 of them. So sometimes it gets a little more useful if they have 4 instead of 400. And then you're like, well, I just have to play 4 machines and it's one of them, maybe. So that's return statistics. But with technology marching forward, slot manufacturers have added remote access to allow casinos to adjust the odds electronically. So slot manufacturers are providing this, but before it used to be, here's a card, here's a setting, and then it switched over to sort of like an electronic feeder that you put into the voucher that's programmed. It's basically a programming card, and that was kind of maybe 8 years ago, and now it's all online. I mean, it's all remote, all connected to the central server. But at any given time, casino operator, my neighbor has one of those, so he showed me the whole instruction kit that came from the slot manufacturer, and it was all pretty, late 2000s sort of technology. At any given time, a casino, it's a used slot machine, but at any given time, a casino operator selects one specific payout, a theoretical payout setting. But a lot of thought goes into which setting to use, where the casino operator evaluates it for both desired financial performance metrics as well as for complying with their gaming jurisdiction regulations, if any. What I think is interesting about theoretical slot machine payout returns is how they are different from any other game available at a casino. Roulette, craps, and card games are fixed. They're based on fixed rules. These rules very specifically define the odds of winning. Websites like Michael Shackelford's The Wizard of Odds exist to provide those various odds of winning by calculating them. If you know what you're doing, you can do it yourself. Believe me, it's not rocket science. My point here is that most games in casinos have known odds of winning to a high degree of accuracy. And this does not include slot machines, right? It's not available to the player. For the other stuff, with a little bit of work, it is. So or just going online and finding it. But that's not true for slot machines. For slot machines, the odds of winning are never known outside of a very few employees at casinos, and they're not sharing due to serious legal ramifications if they were to do so. Without theoretical slot machine payout settings being available to slots enthusiasts, well, what are we going to do? Well, we've got several options, but I'm going to have to go over them in my upcoming video. Sorry to be that way, but this is about as far as I got. You could read the article that I'll put in the description, but the video where everything's succinct and I remove breathing from the video, that's going to be coming out hopefully within the week. I expect that's my plan. We'll see how the week goes. It comes out when it's done. Comes out when it's ready, comes out when it's as perfect as I can make it. And every week, perfection moves forward. So let's quickly skip ahead to myths of slot machine payout returns. Theoretical slot machine payout returns are not known except to a few employees at casinos. This lack of knowledge has, as is often the case, generated quite a few myths. I talk about a few of these myths next, and provide a few reasons why some of them may or may not be true. One myth often said is that it is a good rule of thumb for players that slots with higher denominations tend to have a higher payout percentage. The best way to analyze this myth is to look at 6 state gaming commissions that provide actual payout statistics for slot machines with different denominations. In Colorado, the highest slot machine payout returns appear mostly centered on $1 slots, with the lowest returns entirely on penny slots. You'll find that's a trend, the penny slots. Connecticut, slot machine payout returns mostly increase with denomination all the way up to $100 at Foxwoods, but peak at $25 before decreasing at higher denominations for Mohegan Sun's slot machines. Louisiana, the lowest slot machine payout returns across all 4 of Louisiana's gaming regions are for penny slots. Penny slots, terrible odds. Otherwise, 2 regions peak at 5 cents and 2 regions peak at the maximum $5 denomination. Mississippi, 2 of Mississippi's 3 gaming regions have slot machine payout returns that peak at the 5-cent denomination, while the 3rd peaks at the maximum $5 denomination. So I have results from Nevada. Now, Nevada is extensive, and I've got this whole page, but you can look at this in the article. I'm going to jump to, it's basically depends on where you're at in Nevada. but it's certainly not always the high limit stuff. So the highest return in South Dakota is for the 5-cent denomination. So almost exactly half of the locations that provide denomination-specific slot machine payout returns show maximum denomination machines have the highest return. However, the other half do not show this trend. So however it's interpreted, it's safe to say that maximum denominations having the best payout return is not a very good rule of thumb. I see lots of stuff going on in the live chat, but I'll find a good section, time to switch over. But the payout returns I've just mentioned were from early 2018. One reason why I'm updating this article is to pull more recent payout returns. I did this morning. They're on my Post-it note, but not yet in the article. The highest returns are low limit denominations, Colorado, Nevada, and where I checked in Nevada, basically statewide numbers, and North Dakota. Mississippi was a mix with two regions having highest returns for low limit, and its third region having highest returns for high limit denominations. Louisiana had its two highest returns for both were high limit denominations. Still, overall, it's mostly a 50-50 split. It certainly breaks the myth, busts the myth that high limit machines usually have higher returns. At best, being generous. It might be true half the time. It's actually less this last month, but I might over month after month after month. It might be true half the time at best, maybe. So that's certainly not all the time, not by half. Another myth also considered to be well, let's see. I got a few minutes left. There's another myth, but you can read about it or watch the video later. And I think that is mostly what I wanted to say. Let's switch over to the live chat again and see what questions might have come up. There seems like a lot of things were swinging by. Let's see. Right. So Richard, Brian's sick dog. I hope he feels better. It's been 20 minutes. Good morning, RS. I call you RS. I don't know if anybody else does. Nice back and forth. Yeah, RS, I featured him. Featured him on a prior show. He's been doing pretty well. He wins his $300, $500. I think he might have won a hand pay or two at some point. And he goes by feeling. And I'm a big fan of that. I took Taekwondo for 5 years, and a great instructor, and we learned about gut instincts. I'd like to know better what RS does, what he's listening to, what he's feeling when machine plays, and what he's noticing. But I don't think I'm going to actually know what it is unless I'm standing next to him. And I don't want to quiz him too hard because I don't want to mess with him. Are you feeling this and you're feeling this? Now I'm confused. And I don't want to mess with his method. He wins. He feels it. And then he does it, and he's consistent about it, and he does it at more one casino. A lot of you have been asking, "Tell me what you're doing," and that's what we know. So you can keep on asking him. He's been clear about winning, and I've checked. I've checked him out, and he seems to be winning. But I'm not going to be able to put it in terms that. The way I express things, charts, diagrams, analysis, unless I'm sitting, so isn't clear. Are not cash ups and downs in casino holdings so slippery that amounts can be nudged in different hours or even days than their original occurrence? Not sure where that was coming in from. Yes and no. The return statistics are for the month. Some are for the year. So we're looking at averages, and that's what we want to do here, because otherwise it's just fluctuating, and we want the average. Now Nevada reports weekly, And even they will it's just amazing. They will raise the odds during the weekdays. It's kind of like 10 o'clock in the morning on Monday through about 10 o'clock in the morning on Friday, we'll call the week. But the weekend is 10 o'clock in the morning on Friday through 10 o'clock in the morning on Monday, long weekend, because they're trying to capture all the California people who come to visit and spend money. But they're trying to, take that money, but not take local money, money from locals. And that means that, the casino, the Nevada Gaming Commission doesn't care because they report the week. So on average over the week, you can't see that. But if you walk in, you'll see it. People in Las Vegas live there and they're just like, totally, just play the machine with the most number of cigarette butts in it. It's during the week. That's the ones the locals know win. And so, you can use that, but mostly we're looking, using statistical concepts and trying to find large values. Yep. Yeah. Steve, 5-spin rule, it works most places, and people understand it and they benefit from it. But we always want more. So there's holidays and other things. It depends on your goals. If playing slots was simple, I would just write like a page and I'd say, here, do this, the rules of the game. But we have safety, we have records, we have mornings, we have fluctuations. We have every state being a little bit different in terms of the gaming regulations. And then over time, the technology changes. I don't know if I'll ever be able to tell everything. And particularly when people come up to me and say, hey, I gamble at just yesterday, someone contacted me and said, I'm in Illinois. I don't go to the riverboat casinos. I go to the retailers, the bars, the restaurants, the bowling alleys, and they have a couple of machines and I play those. Can I use your winning slot strategies on them? And I'm like, I don't think so. And then I thought about it overnight and I'm like, hang on a minute. There are, 20 riverboat casinos. The number of slot machines in 20 riverboat casinos is what you could say are in the bars and taverns. And the bars and taverns don't set the odds. The lottery does. The gaming commission does. So, that's like a biggest casino in the world. But it's also doesn't have any competition. I don't know. There's always going to be more to talk about. Good discussion going on. Okay. I'm so sorry about your dog, man. You're giving her medicine now. Okay, good. I know, RS. I would love to come and watch you play, but it's more important things to do. We'll look into it. Chuck, who wasn't able to stay, he's in Missouri, and I need to run out and see him sometime. He's probably first up. Dave, yes, yep, okay. Oh, Chuck's back. Hey, Chuck. Be my surrogate. Excellent. Chuck and RS may very well make it happen. Okay, so that's the show today. Watch more of my videos to improve your slots gambling performance. Have fun, be safe, and make good choices. Bye. Remember to visit ProfessorSlots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. This is the next segment of the show on slot machine casino gambling. Here I provide a brief overview of the current state of gambling in a U.S. state, territory, or the federal district, emphasizing by far anything of interest to slot machine casino gamblers. Up next is U.S. Virgin Islands slot machine casino gambling in 2020. Here goes. U.S. Virgin Islands slot machine casino gambling consists of 7 casinos on 3 out of USVI's 4 islands, including St. Croix, St. Thomas, and St. John. No theoretical payout limits have been set, nor are return statistics publicly available. The minimum legal gambling age in the U.S. Virgin Islands depends upon the gambling activity. For land-based casinos and poker rooms, it's 21. For the lottery, it's 18. And for bingo and parimutuel wagering, it's not available. In November 1994, voters on the island of St. Croix approved legalized casino gambling. The next year, it became law by the territorial legislature. During the same vote, residents on the islands of St. Thomas and St. John rejected the gaming proposal. The Virgin Islands Casino and Resort Act of 1995 allowed the issuance of 6 casino licenses to stimulate the tourism economy on the island of St. Croix. In part, this act states that only a major hotel and convention facility can have a casino. After this initial referendum result, although it is not clear when this occurred, casino gambling became legalized on the islands of St. Thomas and St. John. This conclusion is based on St. Thomas and St. John facilities showing online that they have slot machines available. Use caution before assuming these are legal gaming options. Online casino games and poker are available in the U.S. Virgin Islands, yet licenses haven't been issued. Players are unprosecuted for playing in offshore casinos. The U.S. Virgin Islands does not block access to online casino websites. Next up is a usually short statement about slot machine private ownership, which I have included in case you live in this U.S. territory and are considering owning a slot machine. Here it is. In the U.S. Virgin Islands, unfortunately, it is unknown whether it is legal to own a slot machine privately. The Virgin Islands Casino and Resort Control Act of 1995 established the U.S. Virgin Islands Casino Control Commission. The commission does not have a website, but its main phone number is area code 340-718-3138. The Casino Control Commission issued its first 2 casino licenses in 1998. After a delay caused by the passing of Hurricane Lenny in November 1994, the first St. Croix casino opened in March 2001. The Commission issues licenses to prospective casino investors and employees. Its inspectors and agents maintain a physical presence during the operation of the casino. The Commission's investigation and enforcement arm is the USVI Division of Gaming Enforcement, DGE, within the USVI Department of Justice. The division's primary function is to investigate the qualifications of each applicant before the Commission issues any license, permit, or certification. Further, the DGE requires their division verify any jackpot of $25,000 or more. In this section, I'll discuss U.S. Virgin Islands gambling establishments. There are 7 commercial casinos on the islands of St. Croix, St. Thomas, and St. John in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Furthermore, many cruise ships visiting the U.S. Virgin Islands have onboard casinos available to passengers when traveling in international waters. If traveling to the U.S. Virgin Islands, be sure to check the status beforehand of any casinos you plan to visit on these islands. The largest casino in the U.S. Virgin Islands is Debbie Carina Bay Beach Resort and Casino on the island of St. Croix. The second largest casino, once it opens, would be the Golden Resort on the island of St. Croix. There are 4 closed or proposed casinos on the island of St. Croix in the city of Christiansted, 1 casino on the island of St. John, and 2 casinos on the island of St. Thomas in the U.S. Virgin Islands. As usual, when there are too many casinos to mention here, a complete list is on my webpage for this territory at professorslots.com/vi. There are no American Indian tribes on the U.S. Virgin Islands and therefore no tribal casinos. As an alternative to enjoying U.S. Virgin Islands slot machine casino gambling, consider exploring casino options in a nearby state or territory. Bordering the U.S. Virgin Islands is, to the north, Florida, to the east, the Atlantic Ocean, to the south, the Caribbean Sea, and to the west, Puerto Rico. To visit any of my articles on these U.S. states or territories, simply visit ProfessorSlots.com followed by its 2-letter postal designation. For example, my Florida Slots article is available at ProfessorSlots.com/FL. Are you interested in sharing and learning with other slots enthusiasts in the U.S. Virgin Islands? If so, join our U.S. Virgin Islands slots community on Facebook at ProfessorSlots.com/FBVI. All you'll need is a Facebook profile to join this private Facebook group freely. There, you'll be able to privately share your slots experiences as well as chat with players about slots gambling on or near the U.S. Virgin Islands. Again, use this convenient link I've created to go directly to our group on Facebook, ProfessorSlots.com/FBVI. Join us. No theoretical payout limits or return statistics are available from the U.S. Virgin Islands Gaming Control Commission. In summary, U.S. Virgin Islands slot machine casino gambling consists of 7 casinos at resorts and golf courses. These casinos are on the islands of St. Croix, St. John, and St. Thomas. The St. Croix casinos are closed for various reasons. Over the last year, there has been little to no changes in the gaming industry on the U.S. Virgin Islands. Remember to visit ProfessorSlots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. Part 1 of the next episode of the Professor Slots podcast will include a live stream Q&A session on YouTube. Remember, my weekly Q&A session on YouTube is on Saturdays from noon until 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Bring whatever slots questions you have, and I'll do my best to answer them. An easy-to-remember link to my YouTube channel is youtube.com/ProfessorSlots. Part 2 of the next episode of the Professor Slots podcast is another brief overview of the current state of gambling in a U.S. state, territory, or the federal district. Next time, I'll be talking to you about the great U.S. state of Utah. That's the end of another great episode of the Professor Slots podcast. Thanks so much for listening. Show notes for this episode are on my website at ProfessorSlots.com/episode 106. I plan to have the next episode come out very soon for you, where I'll have more amazing content for the show. Until the next episode, have fun, be safe, and make good choices. Bye.